co-coordinator Dr. Harle sir to introduce the today's speaker.
Thank you, Khandwe sir. Welcome you all to the AICTE sponsored 1 week short-term training program on computational intelligence in architecture design. This is the second day's first session, and today we have with us Dr. Prakash Pasgade sir, who is Professor, Department of Civil Engineering, Professor Ram Meghe Institute of Technology and Research, Badnera, Amravati. He has completed his BE from VRC Nagpur in 1984. He has completed his master from University of Roorkee in 1986, PhD from Amravati University in 2003, as well as MBA from Yashwantrao Chauhan Maharashtra Open University Nashik in 2013. He has vast experience of around 34 years in academics that includes teaching PG courses, ME Structural Engineering at CRM-ITR Badnera. He is a registered PhD supervisor of SDBAU, Amravati University from 2005. He has also worked as member of construction committee for Sant Kali Baba Amravati University, Amravati. He has published around 100 research papers in different international journals and international conferences. Also, 4 books have been published. He has guided more than 35 students ME dissertation, as well as he has also guided 7 PhD students. I am one of them, and under project that structural design of various structures such as mall, industrial buildings, retaining wall, retrofitting of structures, residential building, etc. As well as he has been awarded by VYWS, that is Vidarbha Welfare Society Amravati, for contribution to teaching field. He has organized around 5 FDP as well as 2 conferences. He is a qualified Maharashtra public. Well, apart from this, he is a member of many lifetime institutions. It's like FIE, MIWWA, MISWE, MISC, MISET, NUTA, and many more. He is also professional association with member of Board of Studies, BOS, ex-member of Faculty of Engineering and Technology, Sant Kali Baba Amravati University, Amravati.
Dr. Srikanth. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
Achha. So, good morning, friends.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. So, let's start with the today's session. Earthquake engineering is a relatively young branch of engineering, and study of past earthquake is most important in development of this particular branch. Now, yesterday, Dr. Srikanth has already explained us the basics of seismology. So we'll be considering a few earthquakes, say Kilari earthquake, Jabalpur, Gujarat, and many more also. I could visit these three earthquake after earthquake, and I could learn a lot from studying these structures and its response during the earthquake. The things are already with you. Sorry. So you already know the meaning of magnitude, intensity, etc. The intensity for Kilari earthquake maximum it was around 9, and for Jabalpur it is 7, and for Gujarat it is said 10, and in some small area it might be more than 10, that is 11. There was huge loss of life in moderate, but loss of life was very large. Same thing was there in case of Gujarat earthquake also. More than 25% died, and loss of property was tremendous. Let's see what are the reasons behind this. Now, these are the some of the photographs of the structures. Now you can observe here the masonry walls. The thickness of wall you can observe, it might be more than 600 millimeter. This is also thickness of another wall. This is one structure, second structure, and there was a lane between these two houses. Now you can observe the situation. If you look at the construction as per our standard building construction text, no masonry is matching to this. All stones, bricks, whatever they could get, they have used it, and very thick wall. On the top of roof also, they have provided a thick overburden. Now you already know that earthquake inertia forces will be developed, that is mass into acceleration. Because of heavy mass, large inertia forces were developed, and looking at the cross sections of walls, etc., you can see here. So there was no through stone or proper bonding, etc., and this was the main reason behind the huge loss of life and property in a Kilari earthquake. Now this is another building, bank building, which is converted into heap of rubble. Now this is the building from Jabalpur. It is a guest house. It is a load bearing structure, and you can observe here that cracking pattern is observed here. In the front, in veranda, some columns were provided, but all other structure was a load bearing one. So here you can observe there is a door opening, and then there was a small pillar, and here all cracked portion. So if you look from the inside, you will observe that there is a cupboard provided, and size was quite large, and outer wall of this was half brick wall, and because of this the resistance available was very small, and that was the reason behind the cracking of this. Now we already know that the shear force on base ground story will be large, and this is the reason why cracks are more on the ground floor and less on the first floor. Let's try to understand the some of the features. Now if you consider this particular wall, and let's consider that this is the direction of ground motion or earthquake force, then for this wall the dimensions might be like this: thickness, let's say 0.23, and this dimension will be 3 meter. If you consider this as a direction of earthquake force, then if you draw a plan, then this vertical axis become neutral axis, and we know the moment of inertia, it will be 0.23 into 3 cube by 12. So this particular wall where earthquake force is acting within the plane, it will be strong for resisting the earthquake force, though it is a brick wall of inertia. But if you consider second wall, which is oriented like this, now neutral axis will be this, and moment of inertia will be 3 into 0.23 cube by 12. So for this wall, resistance will be very small because its moment of inertia is very small. Now, if you consider a small room, then it will consist 4 walls, and again this is the direction of earthquake shaking. Then these 2 walls will be weak wall, whereas these 2 walls will be strong walls. Now, if a proper connection is there between the weak wall and strong wall, then its response or behavior of these structure will be very good. Now, as we already know that earthquake is a dynamic force, the direction can be changed. It may act in any direction. Suppose if you consider this as a direction of earthquake force, then these 2 walls will become weak wall, and these 2 walls become strong wall. So what is important? The proper connection is important, so that strong wall can support a weak wall, and the entire structures will be very good. Performance will be very good. So this connection. Now, whatever roof which is there, that will transfer inertia forces on the wall, and inertia forces of walls also will be there. Element, whereas this wall will try to force this particular element. Now, this junction portion is most important, and that is why if somebody is providing opening, that is the weakest part, close to the corner, then this is not a good thing. Or if we provide a very large opening in case of load bearing buildings, then that will reduce the strength of wall because of opening. So what is important? The size of opening is also important, and its location is also important. For better tie between the 2 walls, this will be most helpful in resisting the earthquake. Basically, ties together, and then the response or performance of load bearing structure will be better. Now, if you consider, say, 1.5 brick wall and 1 brick wall of same height, then naturally this thicker wall will have more stability compared to thinner because of a wider base. If we consider same thickness, say 1 brick wall, and one is short and another is tall, definitely a tall wall will be more susceptible to overturning because of the its CG will be at the higher location, and the overturning moment will be large. Now, this is one long wall, and it is supported by a cross wall, and this is the direction of earthquake force. Then if wall is long, then the support provided will not be sufficient, and there will be bending. This wall will bend just like a vertical member. We understand the simply supported beam and bending due to vertically downward load. Similarly, because earthquake is a horizontal force basically, we can see the behavior. If support is at a larger distance, then there will be problem in the central portion. But if we have support at closer distance, then the behavior will be better. Now we have seen that the lintel is most important. It will connect the walls, strong and weak. Now instead of providing opening at the corner, if you keep some distance, it is better. And we must restrict the size of opening. We should not provide very large opening. Actually, it is not needed also from the environmental point of view also. So we can have this lintel band, which is most important. If RCC roof is there, then the slab will also act as a band at the top level. If there is a poor foundation, then clean band is also good. Now, if you look at the performance of buildings during Kilari earthquake, now in Kilari earthquake, we know epicenter was at Kilari, and the intensity at Kilari was 9 on modified Mercalli scale or MSK scale. Now, this is the building which was right at Kilari. Now, it is unplastered building. You can observe the lintel band distinctly, and because of this lintel band, there was no damage to this particular building, though it was located at epicenter only, and where intensity reached is 9. This is again a stone masonry building close to epicenter in Kilari earthquake, but because of continuous lintel band, there was no damage to this particular building. This is the inside view of another building where UCR masonry was provided, but because of lintel band, there was no damage. So whatever provisions which are given in the code, if we follow these provisions, then the performance of load-bearing building will be better. And I have observed that the performance of load-bearing building was even better than the frame structure. We'll see this. Now we have already seen that if tall wall is there, then that it will not be stable. In case of gable end, this gable end, the height of wall will be quite large. Initially, will not be proper, and that's why there is a overturning of this gable wall. So gable walls are most important and they need special protection. Now here, how to apply earthquake resistant measure for double storied pitch roof, it is given, and of course these things are given nicely in tips written by Dr. CVR Murthy. So for ground floor, lintel band is essential. Then if roof slab is provided, then slab will be acting as a band. Then for first floor, again, band is essential. In case of pitch roof, at this level, roof level, we must have a roof band. And for protecting this gable wall, these inclined bands, gable bands are also essential. If we provide gable band, then these whatever collapse pattern which we have seen earlier, this can be prevented. So if we provide gable band and all other band, then the performance of a building will be better. Now, in case of precast building, the connection is most important part. There was a precast slab provided for a school room, but the proper care was not taken for connection. These are the slab panels, and because proper connection was not provided, there was a collapse of the roof as well as wall. Now, performance of timber structure. Now it was observed that in Kilari area, uh, uh, timber column, beams, rafters were provided. Actually, timber is very good because it has compressive strength and tensile strength. So performance will be better. But the problem was the walls which were partition wall or external wall, uh, these were very thick, and that created a problem. Again, for thermal comfort, whatever overburden they provided, it was very thick, more than 0.45 meter, and it leads to large inertia forces, and that created many problems. Again, this is one timber structure. You can observe here thickness of wall. It was more than 0.6 meter, but the performance of this timber frame structure, it was very good, and the structure was intact, though there was collapse of the outer walls uh, because of the huge inertia forces and the improper construction practice. Another timber structure which is in good condition. Now, another important thing is, in case of earthquake, we already know that inertia forces will be acting on all entire structure and all components. Now, all components must be properly connected. Otherwise, the structure, main structure might be all right, but the whatever other parts which are there, they might collapse. And we know that even a small one brick will be sufficient for killing a person if it is falling from a height. So this is the structure at Kilari again. You can observe this partition wall which is provided, and it was not properly tied to the main structure. So we can observe that this structure is all right, but this partition wall, it has overturned. So uh, structural design and detailing is important. At the same time, the uh, design and detailing of partition walls is also most important, and a proper precautionary measures are required. So whatever thing which we are discussing for earthquake, the same thing will be applicable for wind load also. uh, During wind load also, horizontal force will be acting, and if walls are not connected to the main structural element, again there are chances of overturning. Nowadays we need more column free space, so spacing of column is quite large, and for economy we provide thinner wall. So now we have already seen that the thinner wall stability problem will be there, and that is why these walls must be properly connected by dummy columns and bands, and these must be connected to the main framing system. See here, dummy column is shown and the horizontal band with reinforcement. The important point is here, it must be anchored in a beam or column. Otherwise, if you provide band only up to bottom of the beam, the entire brickwork along with these dummy column or band will be overturned during earthquake or wind. So proper integration of these parapet wall, compound wall uh, is essential. Otherwise, there will be overturning. This is the brick panel, the frame structure and brick panel. The size of panel is considerable, and you can see the cracking and separation of the panel. The intensity was small, only 5, and that's why this is in better condition. Suppose if intensity is more, definitely there will be overturning of this wall. So structure is important, but at the same time, the other elements and its connection is also important. Now we have seen one guest house, I think it is at Kopargaon. We need some bank, or you can provide a tie bar. This is a 16 tie bar which is provided all around the building. It is old construction, so continuous lintel band is not there. It's R structure, so band is also not possible. But this building is tied with the help of tie bar, 16 mm diameter all around, and this will give the effect of band. This is an old construction, but you can see the precautionary measures are taken. Now, I think this this zoning map we have already studied. The another important point is uh, we design for intensity. So if a structure is in zone seismic zone 2, then we'll have to consider the intensity. Expected intensity is 6 or less as per modified Mercalli scale or MSK scale. And for other zone also, the expected intensity is given. For zone 5, it will be 9 and above. So regarding the Bhuj earthquake, um, now you can see here epicenter was somewhere here. It is Bachau, and some people say that the intensity for epicentral portion was even 11, and then there was intensity 10, and like that. The Ahmedabad is somewhere here, which is almost 225 kilometers away from the epicenter. The intensity was 7, but still there was a lot of damage in Ahmedabad also, though it was located 250 kilometers away from the epicenter. Then yesterday you have seen the modified Mercalli scale. It is its description is very short there. So in MSK scale, which is given in IS 1893, it is more elaboration is given so that we will understand the various zone, various intensity. So it is already explained there. We can refer it. The another most important thing which we must understand is horizontal diaphragm or rigid diaphragm. Generally, in case of frame structure, we have a slab, and we can consider a thickness of slab, let's say 0.125, and this dimension, let's say 10 meter. So if you consider this direction of earthquake, then if you calculate stiffness of particular slab, this particular slab, then its thickness will be 0.125 and depth will be almost 10 meter. So stiffness of this slab in its own plane will be quite large. It will be 0.125. It will be 0.125 into 10 cube by 12. So stiffness of slab will be very large, and that's why it acts as a rigid diaphragm. So what is the advantage of rigid diaphragm? It will transfer the load according to its stiffness of vertical element. Normally, we consider tributary area for transmission of vertically downward load. But whenever rigid diaphragms are there, the load transmission will be according to stiffness of member, irrespective of its location. So that rigid diaphragm concept is most important, and we must understand that there should not be number of diaphragm at a very close level. So as far as possible, we must have slab at same level. If we provide slab at slab for veranda at different level and main slab at different level, then there will be problem. There are several problems. You can see here a building from Gujarat earthquake. It is a railway station building located at 20 kilometers away from the epicenter. It was mixed type of construction. Basically, it was load bearing one. Now we can see here lintel was provided, continuous lintel band was provided, but there are some problems. See, you can observe here, this is one band and this is second band. A band should have been continuous for proper reinforcement for this and this. They were not at all tied, and that's why there was major problem. Here also, whatever bars which we are providing, they must be anchored properly. Proper development length must be available so that its full capacity will be utilized. If development length is not provided, then whatever reinforcement which we provide, that will be of no use. The basic problems were the slabs were at different level, the proper detailing was not followed, bands were not continuous. Theoretically it was continuous, but reinforcement was discontinuous. We can see here in the background, this is the uh, staff quarter for a railway person. In this particular building, the whatever problem which we discussed in this railway station building, these were not there, and there was no damage to this particular load bearing building. But because of detailing problem, uh, there was almost total collapse of this particular railway station building. So one thing is important, whatever errors which are there in planning, design, execution, all these errors or mistakes will be exposed by earthquake. Within 20-30 seconds, all errors will be exposed. And that is why the study of structures during earthquake is most important. That will teach you a lot of things which we cannot learn in a classroom. So development length is most important. Let's discuss about this. Now this is some cantilever. So here we will have maximum bending moment. So this bar is embedded in the concrete, and if I want to apply force P, then we all know that this force will be developed because of the bond stress tau BD. So we can consider what is the maximum force possible that will be given by stress multiplied by cross sectional area, that is pi by 4 phi square. Phi is the diameter of bar. And for developing this force, tau BD, that is a bond stress, and bond will be developed because of the cross surface area. Now what is the surface area? Diameter into phi, that is perimeter. Perimeter multiplied by length, that will give us the surface area multiplied by permissible bond stress. If you equate this pulling force with the resisting force, then we will get this development length required, which is essential. If we are not providing development length, then whatever reinforcement which we are providing, that will be of no use. And it is most important. And if you do normal calculation as per the code by using various values, then for M20 and F415 grade, we will have a development length equal to 47 times diameter. If 10 mm diameter bars are used, 470 millimeter length will be required. This length required will be 470 millimeter. If this length is not provided, this bar will be of no use. No use means it will not be used to its full capacity because the strength will not be developed and this bar will come out. Now in Killari, what we have observed, they used to do the casting of beam first, and then the plastering of slab was done, and rings were not continuous in the slab, so it was bad practice, and otherwise we can use the more capacity of this beam if it is casting is done integrally with the slab. Now this is one building which is from Gujarat. It was located at Bachau, which was the epicenter. Now the sizes of columns were quite large, considerably strong, and it is only ground floor which was under construction. But because of earthquake, there was almost, it is on verge of collapse. So we can observe what are the various features which are there. Now, before that, let's try to understand the things. In case of normal gravity load, there will be tension at the bottom in case of frame and tension at the top. And bending moment diagram is shown. But earthquake force is reversible in nature, and that's why if you consider direction of force like this, then at this particular point, tension at corner tension will be at the bottom. If you change the direction, then at this point tension will be at the bottom. And if you look at the bending moment diagram for columns, you will observe that at the junction we will have large amount of bending moment. So this is the most important thing. It is reversible in nature, and at the junction bending moment will be quite large. So this point must be taken care. Now for same building, if you look at the detailing part, we have just now seen that at the junction we will have large amount of bending moment, and that is why it is recommended that lapping should not be at the junction, but you can observe that lapping is there. Then regarding the spacing of stirrups, also the spacing in this particular distance there is no stirrups provided. So the size of a column was very good. The amount of reinforcement provided might be sufficient, but if proper detailing is not followed, then there is no use of whatever reinforcement which we provide in the structure. Now we know that this is again a junction. At junction, there will be large movement at the top face as well as bottom face also. But here you can see this particular bar. There is no development length. It is only provided for 10 centimeter. This is again a small piece of 230 millimeter or 300 millimeter at the most. Here also, this now bottom bars are also important, because we know because of reversal tension will be developed at the bottom also, and that's why top bar as well as bottom bar, they must be provided with development length. So whatever all good things which are given in the code, they are not at all followed. No doubt this building is in zone 5, and this Bhuj area is in zone 5, but you can see the detailing part. Now during earthquake there will be spalling of cover concrete, and if these lateral ties, if they are not anchored within core concrete, there will be opening of lateral tie. Now there is an opening of lateral tie, and then these bars, main bar for column will be slender, and then there will be buckling and failure. Now this is the example from Northridge earthquake. Now we have seen that during earthquake there will be spalling of cover concrete. So anchoring within the core concrete is essential. This is a pier. You can see here the diameter of bar for lateral tie is important, and its anchoring also is also important. You can see very small diameter wires, the bars are there, and I think there must be problem of its anchorage also. So it leads to the failure of the pier. Once there is a failure of this tie bar, then the effective length of this bar will be quite large, and then there will be buckling and failure. This link will be most important, and proper anchoring of this link in a core concrete is also important. If these links are not anchored properly, then we have already seen in the photographs, and the spacing is also important. If spacing is quite large, then the behavior of these bars will not be proper. So closely spaced links and anchoring within the core concrete is essential. This is ductile detailing. I think Dr. Ingray will explain you the other feature. For same railway station building, we have seen that RCC columns starting from the plinth were provided for veranda portion. Again, you can observe here the lateral tie was not anchored properly. You can see opening of the tie and then this buckling of the main bars. Now, the column was starting from the plinth level, so it should have been provided a foundation in the sorts of beams which must have been extended on this side also, but it was not done, and that's why there was failure at the bottom level also. Now, whatever good structures were there, now this is double-storied load-bearing structure at Madhapur. It was 60 kilometers away from the epicenter. Now, whatever good features which we discussed, all these good features were provided. So, though this was load-bearing structure in stone masonry, there was no damage to this particular building. And this is the quarter at On. Here also there was no damage. Now, this is the load-bearing building at Bachao, which was at epicenter only. The intensity here was very large, 11, and almost all structure collapsed. The performance of frame structure was very poor in this particular village. Now you can observe here some important point. Here lintel band was provided, and that is the reason why this structure is still standing. Now it is recommended that we in zone 4 and 5 we must have a seal band also, and there must be a vertical reinforcement at corner. Only lintel band was provided, and there was no seal as well, seal reinforcement and vertical reinforcement. So you can observe there are a problem at seal level, and because of lack of vertical reinforcement there was problem. At outside portion also, because of lack of vertical reinforcement there was problem, but because of lintel band this building is standing. There is a scope for escape of the whatever occupants which were there. Now on this side we can observe there was a large opening, and this failure here. So whatever provisions which are given, if you follow this provision, definitely will have a better performance. Now these are some of the provisions. So what should be position of door from the corner? What should be the total area of opening? Everything is given. It is given in the manual of earthquake resistant non-engineer construction, and it is also given in the IS code. Now again, one important feature that we must understand, this is called as a short column. Normally, as per strength of material, we try to provide a short column so that its strength will be better. No doubt its strength will be better, but there are some other problems also. Now this is the frame structure. These are columns. Now this is not a column. This is brickwork provided for supporting the gate. And this is a compound wall for adjacent house and for this house. Now you can see here some interesting feature, say in large photo. There was damage to this particular column, this single column. Now if you look at the other column, the damage is not there, but for this column, there is a damage, almost failure. Now let's try to understand this feature. Now there are, let's say, 12 columns, and the feature is something like this. For this last column, there was support provided by compound wall. So if you consider all other columns, it will have length equal to L. And if length is equal to or height equal to L, we know stiffness, that is 12 EI by L cube. So for L, we will have this particular value of stiffness of column. And for this particular column where it is supported, laterally supported by compound wall, the effective length will be L by 3. Let's consider this side as L by 3. So by same equation, if you calculate stiffness, here L will be equal to L by 3 and its cube. So what will be stiffness? It is 27 times more. So if you consider this short column, its stiffness will be 27 times more compared to this particular column. And let's see what is the effect of this. Now we can calculate the earthquake force acting on the building. Let's say 1000 kilonewton is the earthquake force acting. That is a horizontal force, and there are 12 number of columns. So horizontal force taken by each column, if all columns are having same sizes and same effective length, then this will be the force taken, horizontal force taken by each column. Now let's consider the situation where one column is having effective length equal to L by 3. So for all other column, say where L is L and here L is L by 3. For 11 column, we will have stiffness K, and for this single column, we will have we will have stiffness 27K. So total stiffness will be 11 plus 27, that is 38. And the force taken by a column which is having effective length or height equal to L will be 26 kilonewton. And by short column, because of its large stiffness, it will take a force of 710 kilonewton. So out of 1000 kilonewton, this short single column will take a force of 710. And definitely this column will have some limited horizontal force carrying capacity. And if it is more than that, definitely there will be shear failure. So we must try to see that there should not be short column. If short columns are there, then this column will be very steep and it will attract large force, and that will lead to the failure. So if main structural beams are provided at lintel level, then also the behavior of column will be changed. It will become short column. Many a time on WC and bath, we provide loft slab. That will also change the behavior. You can see here loft slab is provided. Because of short column effect, there is a failure of column, almost crushing of the column. Then if walls are provided only for partial height, there will be problem. For mezzanine floor or loft slab, there will be problem. In case of staircase, generally mid-landing level supports will be provided. That will create a problem. In this case also, because of varying height, there will be short column effect. So that is most important thing which we must understand, and this thing was understood by studying the behavior of building during the past earthquake. Then earthquake core is also important. Now you can see here the only core remains and all building collapse. The core will be very strong, but its connection with the adjacent slabs and structure is also important. Otherwise, its stiffness will not be utilized. So let's see that. Now for lift, generally there is a practice of providing 4 columns, but it's not good. Whenever it is possible, we must provide RCC wall. Only 0.15 meter thick wall will be sufficient. Now, if I provide 0.15 meter by 1.8 meter wall, its stiffness, moment of inertia will be 0.15 into 1.8 cube by 12. This is the moment of inertia. And moment of inertia for these 2 columns, we can calculate dd cube by 12 and 2 times. This is the moment of inertia of these 2 columns. And if you compare the moment of inertia of this single wall with 2 columns, then we will observe that the moment of inertia of these small shear wall will be 44 times more than the 2 columns. So whenever it is possible, we must provide core wall or shear wall. It will be very strong, and we can have additional carpet area also. Then there are some other important points. Now building must be symmetrical. See here, moment of inertia will be quite large. Here moment of inertia is less. So it will be unsymmetrical, and that will lead to torsion. So shape of building must be simple, so that it will have better performance. From architectural point of view, if we want some special shape, then that is possible, but we must provide a seismic joint or separation joint, so that functionally or elevation wise, we will have required shape, but structural behavior will be better. Whenever these type of buildings are there, there will be problem at the corner. See, we can see failure of the building in the building at the corner. Then whenever two buildings are adjacent, they will vibrate in a uh, they will vibrate, and they may pond bang each other, and that's why a sufficient gap is required. This is the example from Gujarat earthquake, and this is from Mexico. Because of impact of two buildings, there was a damage. Then we already know that we must have strong column uh, and weak beam, so that the structural performance will be better. Now here example from Mexico earthquake, very strong beam but weak column. Now you can measure the number of floors. You can imagine the situation uh, during the failure. Then we must design the structure. That is most important thing. This is the 10-storied building, and you can see the size of column and size of footing. Definitely it was not sufficient for dead load and live load also. So how it can survive earthquake. Then the another important point is the soft story. Now in case of soft story, walls are not provided at the uh, lower level, and there are walls. Now we have seen that walls are very strong, though in design we do not consider the contribution, but walls are very strong, and because of this strong and stiff wall, the large forces will be concentrated at the junction, and that's why a special treatment is required for soft story. Now this is not a ground floor. This is first floor of the hostel building at Kandla. Now you can see here crushed column of ground floor. The sizes were not very large for the room, but because of soft story effect, uh, there was collapse. Now in case of shops also, there will be large opening. So this is the building which has fallen by one story. You can see the collapse or crushed column. It is all soft story failure. This is from Jabalpur earthquake. We can see the behavior of the building. It was on verge of collapse because of the soft story effect. The another important point is a structural arrangement. We must have a proper structural arrangement. If you provide proper structural arrangement, then its behavior will be very good. Now because of rigid diaphragm, even if we provide 4 walls, these walls will be very strong, and this wall is not responsible for a tributary area. This will be responsible for almost 50% of the building. So whatever horizontal forces which are there, mostly these forces will be shared by these strong structural walls. And how it is possible? Because of the rigid diaphragm concept. So proper structural members must be there, so that its response of the structure will be better. Again, same rigid diaphragm concept. Because of this rigid diaphragm, the forces will be transferred according to stiffness, irrespective of its location. So we must provide better system such as walls, etc. The another important feature is appendage effect. Now, structure acts as a cantilever. We can observe here, if I vibrate this pen, then the acceleration at the top level will be very large. It is called as appendage effect. So you can see here the small structure situated at the top of the main structure will experience more forces because of this appendage effect. And in the code it is mentioned vertical projections such as parapet, tanks, staircase, tower, etc. They must be designed for 5 times the horizontal seismic coefficient, or whatever force which we consider normally, 5 times larger force must be taken on these structures. Now I have done some calculations for parapet wall. I think time is not sufficient, so I will skip this, but I will explain you one important point. We can calculate the load, we can calculate the horizontal force 5 times, and then the earthquake force acting on this wall can be calculated, which will be at the center. Then overturning moment about this point can be calculated. This is the overturning moment, and stabilizing moment will be because of self weight and this distance stabilizing moment. Here we can observe that stabilizing moment is small compared to overturning moment. So even a 1 meter high parapet wall is not safe during earthquake if it is not properly connected to the main structural element. Now you can observe in earthquake, even a small parapet wall of 1 meter height, it overturns. So proper connection with her main structures or slab is essential. Otherwise, these parapets will be most dangerous. And even a 1 brick will be sufficient for killing a person. And that's why all these non-structural members are also important from safety point of view. If buildings are good, properly constructed, and then it will have better performance. Thank you. Thank you very much. I think I have taken 5 minutes more. Thank you.
No, sir. Thank you. So if some participants have a few questions, so 2-3 questions, we will take, and then we will end this today's session. So you can raise your hand, or you can unmute yourself and ask a question.
Sir, one question. Hello.
Please,
Yes.
please.
Sir.
Yes.
Most of the time water tanks are constructed above this staircase.
Yes.
And how the effect of this earthquake is going to be accommodated from the earthquake to our main structure?
See, for transferring the effect to the main structure, it will be transferred to the roof level. But while designing this particular tower, we must consider for that tower or water tank, we must consider 5 times forces, so that that particular tower will act as an appendage. So it will attract more force. So suppose this tank is on the ground level, then it will attract less force. But because it is situated on the top of the building, it must be designed for 5 times larger force. It is given in IS code 1892 on last for horizontal projection and vertical projection. It must be 5 times larger forces we must take, and calculations I already showed you.
Sir, just you have shown the calculation for parapet. Similar to that, they are to be.
You will have to do the calculation for water tank also. For that water tank portion, we'll have to apply larger forces. Yes.
Yeah, sir. Yes, sir. Okay.
Any other question?
One more doubt, sir. One more question, sir. I have.
Yes, please.
I have one more doubt, sir.
Okay.
Many a time these stilt parking are unavoidable, and for medium heighted structures, shear walls may not be necessary many of time. In such cases, how to make it earthquake resistant at soft story level?
See, in code it is given we must have say 0.2% of 2% of wall area must be provided for shear wall, or other provision is given we can have a RCC uh, this bracing. So if you provide RCC bracing in large bay, we have done one project and we found that by providing RCC bracing, we can increase it, stiffness and it will be better.
Only locally at that parking level, still parking
Yeah,
level, or
yeah, yeah.
facing to be
But even you,
okay.
if you provide bracing at a parking level at all corners, then it
Yes,
will
sir.
be sufficient and the performance will be better. We can do the calculations also for that.
Yes, sir. Okay, okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Welcome.
So thanks to all. I think now we will end here today's session. And आज अभी सभी लोगों ने बढ़ चढ़कर हिस्सा लिया आज के इसमें, और हम लोग सभी लोग यहाँ पर उपस्थित थे। मैं सभी का एक बार फिर से डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ सिविल इंजीनियरिंग की ओर से आपका सबका शुक्रिया अदा करता हूँ। और हम फिर से जल्द मिलेंगे। एक और हमारे एक और अच्छे स्पीकर है डॉक्टर इंगड़े सर, उनके सेशन के साथ में at 11 o'clock. So before 10 minutes I will start the Zoom session and then you can join at 11. So thank you for being with us in today's wonderful session. Thanks to all.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Pachgade sir. Very interactive and with the photographs, though everyone was watching it very seriously and then well understood whatever the points you have given from your experience from actual projects. So thank you for this wonderful session, and I will now today close the meeting.
Thank you very much.